Actually, 4K is useless, at least kinda. In my use cases, it's kind of a selling point, but not really useful. Here are 3 things I don't like about the Canon M50, something you should consider in case you want to buy one. What's up guys, it's Kofi here. It's about a year now since I got my Canon M50. I got it, I think, ending of August last year, and for 1 year period of time, I've done a lot. When I started with this camera, I had this number of photographs, and up till now, this is the number of photos I have, which is amazing. Like, I've taken a ton of pictures, and in all that time, I've had to do a lot of things and try different things with the camera and got to actually use it. So here are 3 of my bad experiences with the camera that if you plan getting one for yourself, you might want to consider. So I made a video when I got the camera about some of the things I liked about this camera and all that. All those things I like still remain, but then throughout the use, I've come to dislike this camera a lot in certain 3 areas, and I want to share them with you real quick. So the first is really important, and it has to do with the battery. The battery of the Canon M50 is terrible. I think it only comes with an 875 milliamp hour battery. That is the one I got, and I think I've seen online there are a few other that go up to somewhere 1000 milliamp hour. Whatever being the case, if you want to use this camera and be able to go on a day shoot or stuff like that, get extra batteries, and relying on this thing is just not sensible. You need to get extra batteries. At least you need to get 3 charged standing extra batteries. In my case, I got extra 2 batteries, and what I normally do is during shoots, whatever battery dies, I just slot it in whilst that one is charging and then go on. By the time the remaining 2 is dead, I probably have an extra one to fall back to. So battery, it's a huge thing with this camera. Another thing is you don't shoot, unless you're shooting videos, you might just want to close the flipping screen and then just look into the viewfinder. I realize that saves a lot of power because the screen consumes power. Even if you have it at the lowest level, it is still draining battery. And if in sunlit environment and very bright areas, I hardly can see the screen unless I crank it up to the highest, which in some shooting conditions, not really the ideal use case. So if you just close it and use the viewfinder, it's going to save a ton of battery, and I notice that a lot when I'm shooting, especially pictures only. It saves a lot of battery, and that is one way to get longer battery life from the Canon M50. So get extra batteries, and also don't use the flip screen if you want to conserve a lot of battery on shoot. Another thing is for lack of better word, let me call it limited functionality. It's happened to me a few times. What happens is I cannot do anything on the camera except for start recording, stop recording, and turn the camera off. So none of the buttons work except start, stop. The dial button also only works for, I think, changing the shutter speed, and that's about it. So I can't turn on the Wi-Fi, I can't change any other settings like the ISO, aperture. Normally most of my lenses are manual lenses, so those are basically what I can do. I can't change anything, and the problem that comes out of that is if I need to switch over to maybe shooting indoors and I have to slot on the speed lights, which means I need to go in and turn on the flash. To do that requires me going into the menu system and actually, like, you know, going around. None of that works. It happened to me at PyCon. I think on the first day and on the last day, this camera went rogue. It won't allow me to do anything on the camera basically, except for start and record and stop. And I don't know exactly what the problem with the camera is. The only solution for me was to remove the battery out of it for longer time. So I got that answer, I think, from a Stack Overflow solution, and while it works, immediately I take the battery out for say 12 to 18 hours, the camera comes back to normal and everything functions fine. But why that happens in the first place is something I have no idea, and it's something to keep in mind. So if that should happen to you using a Canon M50, you might want to just remove the battery for way longer number of hours, and it should reset back to normal. And the last but not least is the 4K capability on this camera. So an APS-C sensor, it's I think 1.5 times crop of a full frame, and Canon in all their wisdom decided to even crop it more when you're trying to shoot 4K. So immediately you try to shoot 4K, it crops the video, and so you're using just a portion on the sensor for that. The problem with that is you're not capturing as much light as possible. So it means when you're doing low light video recording, if you don't have lights, you're going to struggle a lot, especially in 4K. And also it doesn't have like autofocus and all the nice features that comes with the normal shooting mode. So 4K in itself is basically crippling and doesn't allow a lot of flexibility when it comes to that. So it's something, I think, for the entire year I've been shooting videos, I've shot in 4K for probably less than 2% of the entire footage I have. I enjoy shooting in 60 frames per second, 1080p. I love the video that comes out of that. Being able to go back and then slow things up and all that. So unless you plan using a lot of, you have your gimbal, motorized gimbal or something of that sort, or you plan using the 4K on tripods a lot, it's not really a good video mode to shoot stuff. And although if you get the right lighting condition and all that, you're gonna get amazing video. I've shot 4K with that. I think the Kenton waterfall was shot in 4K and all that, but it's not something you should look into as, you know, something you might enjoy using a lot. Well, in your use case it might be, but in my case I didn't find the 4K useful that much with this camera, although it exists. And I'm just wishfully thinking someday Canon will probably release a fix and a firmware fix and then allow 4K to record the entire screen, the entire sensor size, because I think Magic Lantern has something like that in the works, if not already released for the Canon M50. So basically that has been my journey with this camera so far for 1 year. Well, I enjoy using this camera, and those are my 3 issues with the camera at the moment. The build quality is fine. It's, as long as it's not falling, everything is working fine. A little bonus to it will be the dial, and it currently basically probably because of the humidity and stuff like that, it gets a little bit difficult to dial it sometimes and all that. But you know, it's just because this has a screen touch, I can just go in and punch and go into the settings and do whatever I like. So the dial isn't an issue for me basically when I'm doing stuff. So thank you for joining me on this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and that has been my experience with the Canon M50 so far. If you want to get it, I think it's a good camera. It's a great one, really compact, small, performs amazingly, and so as long as you have great lens to slap on it, you're good to go. And thanks for joining me in this one. I hope to come your way with more tech videos and some of my reviews. If this is your first time coming to this channel, make sure to subscribe. I do tech videos every week, so get to share my experience using tech. You can see my Jumia, bought on Jumia reviews if you've not already seen that. If you like this video, make sure to click the like button below, and don't hesitate to leave your questions in the comment sections below, and I'll be glad to read them and answer them as well. That's it for me here. It's Kofi. Thanks for joining me, and hope to catch you in the next one. Bye.